Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bobcat Insider, live from Shenanigans Sports Bar and Grill, brought to you by Shenanigans and Luke's Cage, here on Pixelcast Media's Concho Sports Network. I'm Darren Prater. Who is that? Hey, Chad Mayer with us today.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, thanks for coming in, man.
Of course, man. Always happy to be here.
Central head coach Mark Smith is here. Coach, now that the season is over, do you just kick back and have a nap and just kind of hibernate the rest of the year?
Man, Team 108 is on the clock. I was thinking about that just driving home from Stephenville Friday night. There's a lot of reflection that goes on during that time, but also, you're grateful for what happened. But as a coach, my mind just starts shifting immediately, to the next group and, the things that we need to do to prepare, for Team 108. But at the same time, just giving a lot of thought and reflection on what is just an incredible year, that it was for Team 107 and the lasting legacy that they left. I've got a, really, my feelings about everything. The season didn't end the way that we wanted to, but of course it only ends the way you want to for one team.
Right.
And we're down to the round of 32 in 6A Division II, and great strides. And I've got great perspective on where things were just 2 short years ago to where they are right now, and it's remarkable. What the guys have done and accomplished during a short amount of time, and I'm looking forward to the future already.
Oh, as you should.
Yep.
And it's you got to applaud yourself. You already mentioned that short 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Looking at, of course, thanks to Dave Campbell's. Of course, you see 2 years ago 1-9, last year 4-6, and of course this year 8-4. Obviously, You mentioned not exactly what you want, but you got to be proud of that progress.
Oh my goodness.
That the program's made.
Yeah, it is. I'm tremendously, happy, with where we are. When I took the job 2 years ago, I knew what was in front of me to a certain extent. You don't always know until you really get in,
Right.
and you're in the weeds of everything, and you're figuring out exactly, where things are. I think you can look at the record and kind of say, okay, this is where the program is right now. And it was 1-9, and it really got drug in several of those games. wasn't like a competitive 1-9, when you really look at it. And then, all right, taking it from that point, all right, where do we need to go? And from 4-6 during the first year, and really close the gap. There were a lot of really one-score games within that. So, and then just taking the next step, to 8 wins here and a bi-district championship, and second round of the playoffs, and get knocked out by a really good team. I think as good a high school football team as I've gone against, in all my years of high school coaching. That Southlake team is right there. I'd be shocked if they don't win the whole thing, when it comes right down to it. But, really happy, really proud where we were just 2 years ago to where we are right now. The program's in great shape. Yep.
I wanted to go over some various points of the season, but first let's go over the last game.
Okay.
We got beat pretty bad by a very good team.
Yeah.
But, there are certain games where it would appear to be a mismatch that happened in the playoffs, especially in the first and couple of rounds. Mm-hmm. And you've probably seen a few to where the fans, parents, everybody is worried about the safety of the kids, that quarterbacks getting mauled every play. It's not pretty. I never felt like it was like that Friday.
No,
I felt like we were competitive despite the score and fought them the entire game.
Physically, I think the guys held up. We didn't. I always look at it. How does the training room look the day after the game? I want the other team roughed up and have. They've used every set of crutches that they got in the training room because we've banged them pretty good. And ours was good. We finished the game really clean. We had a couple of things that came up during the course of the game, and but nobody that had to kind of leave the game for any kind of long-term issue right there. We had our bumps and bruises just like we do from week in to week out. But yeah, that's how I kind of gauge the barometer on the physicality of it. Did we get really pushed around? No. That was, to a certain extent, yes, and certain things that happened within the game, but no, that wasn't just a physically dominant game by one team or the other. Yep.
Yeah, and physically we stacked up pretty well against them, as good as we could, but the effort was great, and I didn't see us getting down at any point. I think it seemed from what I was seeing that the attitude was, hey, we're playing a great team here. Let's just go one play after the other.
Yeah, they were stout to move the ball on. That was, when you looked at their scores, I think our touchdown, I read the day after the game, was the first touchdown they'd given up since October the 16th.
Yep.
And I looked at it, and 2 teams against them all season scored more than 7 points. So our 7 points tied for third most, scoring against it, which is just incredible when you think about that in terms of, how well their defense has done throughout the course of the year. And I shared that with Coach Dodge. That's the most complete team I think back to the 2012 Carroll Dragon team going against them. That was a really complete team as well. But this one is more so, just from offense, defense to kicking game, everything. When they put it all together, man, it is tough. When you go against that, they're hard to score on. They do a great job on offense of finding matchups and getting guys in space, and then utilizing their speed. They had tremendous speed on that team. That's one thing. I felt like that's been lacking with our team is just overall team speed. We've got it in certain spots, but don't have enough to kind of run with some of the big guys on a week in to week out basis. I think my State of the Union address a year ago at the end of the season, what do we need to work on and get better at physically? I thought we got pushed around a little bit a year ago. We need to get physically stronger and bigger at the point of attack and then also out on the perimeter, and we did that. I think we closed the gap with people physically there. Now it's just overall team speed. That's the one thing that I see, that shows up a little bit. I either say you have speed or you're chasing it, and we chased it a little bit last Friday night. We chased it a few points during the course of this season, but yeah, that's definitely a point of emphasis going forward with Team 108.
And we mentioned the touchdown, and I want to make sure that the defense get their attaboy too. We got an interception.
Yeah, we did. When you look at them, their quarterback has thrown it to some people over the course of the year, and he's, I don't know, maybe that was his 10th or so interception, somewhere around that mark. But, yeah, he's thrown it to him, and you can affect him and give some different looks in there, and we certainly did. And Mike Duran made a great play right there. They had some elite wideouts, a guy going to Ohio State, which is really probably the standard of wideout play in the country there. And so, if you're going to take two guys for him, then they got other guys. Got a big 6'7" wide receiver out there that they can throw it to as well. Mike did a great job all night. Thought he did a really good job in coverage, leaning and locating the ball, when it was in the air, and he made a great play on that one down in the end zone.
Yeah, it seemed like they kind of wanted to pick on him at the beginning, and maybe decided that wasn't a great idea because he broke up a few other passes.
He did. He had a great night. It was a great game for Mike.
Just wanted to make sure that he got that because that was great.
It was great play.
What do you tell the seniors after the final
just how grateful that I was, and I told them that, and I greeted each one of them as they came into the locker room after the game. It's just you kind of switch your gears and think, all right, you put yourself in the position of a senior, and this is their last game they'll play in a Bobcat helmet and jersey, and so I always want to be mindful of that, the emotion that goes with that, the things that are going through their minds, and that was one that, of course, you didn't lose at the end in heartbreak fashion, and then there's other emotions that are going on. You saw what was coming as that game was playing out, so had some time to think and really process, that, and I just express my gratitude, to each of them. That's a team that, they've come a long ways, from freshman year all the way to senior year, and the investment that they've made and the lasting legacy they left on the history of our program from where it was when they started in here and then where it is when they finished. They left it much better than it was when they got here. So just grateful, really. That's the message that I had, an attitude of gratitude for them and for what they've done and their contribution to the program. I wanted to make sure that I expressed that to each one of them.
Something that always had me curious, and I know we already talked about kind of the end of the game, what was with the seniors. Well, I want to rewind a little bit to the lead up, the preparation for a game like this. How do you keep the balance from a coaching perspective of knowing who you're against, your work cut out for you, and then also just making sure you're trying to instill the confidence in your guys.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like we know who this is.
Yep.
We can still play our ball. Like, what's that balance there?
I think number one, just being honest with your team. Okay, I think you can find yourself if you're like, man, these guys aren't nothing and we got them. No, that's not the approach. But I think when you play in a round of 32 and then you get down to the round of 16, everybody is really good.
Yeah.
So you have to know that you're not going to drag some of these teams right in here. It's going to be a 10-round heavyweight fight that you got to just make a few more plays than they do. So that was my message to them at the beginning of the week. I said, look, I counted back into my career 4 times I'd played the number 1 team in the country. Another 14 times played a top 10 team, in the country. And from my observation and looking in the eyes of the players in those locker rooms as you get ready to go play that game, here's some things that work in terms of your mental preparation for that game, and here's some things that don't. So I shared those with them, with the team, and I said just what I said a second ago. It's not that these guys aren't nothing and we got it. That's not the approach to take. We respect everybody. We fear nobody. So we know what was at stake there in that game, and we knew the type of ball that we needed to play. Very clean, very opportunistic with it. I told them it's going to be a death by 1,000 cuts type game. You just got to keep cutting and keep cutting. They're going to land some punches. We're going to land some punches. And when the opportunity is there, they got their chin exposed and I can throw the haymaker, you got to land it square on the chin. Those are games where you cannot miss in those big opportunities like that because they're very few and far between. So honesty, number one. I think you have to look it straight in the face and say this is a really good football team that we're playing. So that's what we did, was our approach there. So I think we had a realistic expectation of what was going to happen, during the game. Not that it went down the way that it did, but we are playing a really good football team here. So we have to have that mindset and approach in our preparation.
So you didn't go in there and tell them, fellas, I think they're scared.
Did not. Yeah, did not.
Let's go tell the number one team in the state that they're scared. Yeah.
And that's a team that's been there a lot and done this a long time, and I got tremendous respect for what it takes to win a state championship. But also then, you've climbed the mountain, but how do you stay on the top? And that's even more impressive. And that's a team that every year they're going to be in the mix and the conversation about a team that's going to, have an opportunity to win it all. So that's a sign of a very quality program that you're playing there when they got that name recognition that they're always in the mix.
And you don't have to wonder, especially the underclassmen, you don't have to wonder what it would be like to play a team this good.
No, they've seen it. Yeah, they've done it. They've seen it. They've been there. They've prepared for it. It's not something that'll be new, which is always an advantage to you as a team. Whenever you've been there and you've been in that kind of environment, you understand, what that's like. And that's things you go back and use during off season and as you get into spring ball, and reminding, hey, we're not out here trying to prepare to beat Waco. I'm trying to beat South Lake Carroll. That's what I want. That's the standard, and then that's where it goes. So the level raises, with that, and those are the reminders that you use throughout the course of the year.
You've seen both ends of the spectrum, haven't you?
I have.
As far as
seen a lot.
Not good teams and really good teams.
Yeah, I've been on both of them. Yeah, I've been in. Unfortunately, when you coach and play this game long enough, like I have, you've seen a few nights like you did last Friday night, and then you've seen a lot of them that are on the other end of that as well. So, you just got to take those experiences and draw from the things that you learn from those, and then pass on that knowledge and share it with the people that are around you that haven't been in that environment before. That was my fourth time playing South Lake Carroll.
Really?
No one on our team, no one on our staff had ever been, in a game with them before. That was my second as a head coach playing against them, and then I had 2 times I played against them as an assistant coach. So, yeah. Been there, done that, seen that, understand it. Yeah, so just pass that information down.
I had to mention this during the broadcast. They were playing, y'all played at Art Briles Stadium in Stephenville.
Yep.
Carroll and Stephenville played each other, and the winner got to go to state back in 1998.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one.
Long pass. Kellen Luker, the quarterback, threw a long pass with like a minute left, and Stephenville won, and they went on to win the state championship. And he's the coach at Sterling City now. So.
Oh wow! How about that?
Yeah.
These little trivia that does anybody want to go win a trivia?
That was my trivia because that was
right
one
there.
of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen.
Well, it's a great venue. It was a great stadium. I talked to Coach Briles earlier in the week and just shared with him my excitement of playing in his stadium. Named after him.
Before or after he was named Eastern New Mexico State?
Before. He had, we had a great conversation. He mentioned he had some things in the works, that's what it was.
There you go.
Yeah, it came out maybe yesterday, I think we heard that news. So,
I think it was reported a day and a half ago and then officially yesterday.
Yeah, really happy for him and that opportunity for him, and gotten to know his family well. His son, his son-in-law Jeff Levy. We worked together at Oklahoma, who's now at Mississippi State, and then of course Kendall, his son, came into Arkansas right as we were leaving Arkansas. So just a great football family. Yep.
Remember, Kendall was quarterback for Friendship his senior year. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't know a thing about Friendship, but Coach took that job at Tech, and
that's
so
where Kendall went. I didn't realize that. He wins
the state championship his junior year at Stephenville, then went and played for Friendship his senior year.
At this point, what do you not know?
That. I'm full of old trivia right there.
Just old school knowledge, but I gotta say. I mean, we're cool and all, but my ex-wife called me to tell me, Coach Briles, he's coaching again. We're longtime fans.
It's really insane about, and while we're here, might as well ask you, what's your perspective regarding Coach Briles going to Eastern New Mexico, knowing that he was once, obviously, known as being a great leader of men, program builder, and now finding him at a Division II, coming out for everything.
I know that this is what he's wanted for some time, is another opportunity to coach, it'd be a head coach in college football, and I'm happy for him. It's my experience around Coach Briles has been nothing but positive. He was one of the few guys that at that time made the leap from a high school coach to a college coach, and I was like, man, that'd be really cool to do someday. And he kind of blazed a trail for guys like me that did that. My background, I became a head high school coach and then went into college, very similar, to him. And so, and he grew up in Abilene, Texas, and so did I. And every time we talk on the phone, he reminds me of that on the house number that he grew up on, Sales Boulevard in Abilene, Texas. So, yeah, I'm grateful for him. I'm happy that he's got this opportunity and looking forward to watching them play. They're in the conference with Angelo State,
yes, they
so
are.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, no, trust me. Whenever the news came out, I was getting so many different messages from people about, like, oh, here we go. Eastern Mexico's about to become really good. But obviously, like, we got to see what happens. You still got to convince people to go to Portales.
Well, you got to go and work. Of course, he's a big name that's had that job. But you look at North Carolina and Bill Belichick.
Exactly.
Right there, it hadn't quite just been exactly what he thought.
You never know.
You have to build and you have to, do the dirty work.
Right.
To be able to, get a program from where it is to where you want it to be, and all those things take a little time. And I'm certain he'll give it his best and get it right where he wants it as quick as he can.
Oh, yeah.
When he came to Baylor, somebody asked, well, how can it happen so quickly? I'm like, it will. But you talk about his voice. I recognize him the way he talks. I can imitate him. He called the radio station in Brownwood the request line when I was working. And, hello, KOXC. I heard y'all hire Coach Ober. I said, we hired W.T. Stapler. Coach Bryles. Who's this? It was him. I recognized him. Hey, let's take a quick break. We're going to kind of recap the season, ask you a few more questions, and then we'll have a good time.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
All right. This is Bobcat Insider. We'll be back right after this at Shenanigans.
Check out why First Community Federal Credit Union is the #1 local auto lender in the Concho Valley.
With great low rates on new, used, and refinance autos, we can save you money. First Community has great payment options and low prices for GAP, extended warranty, and credit life insurance, so we can make your payment fit your budget. So be smart, bank smart, and contact First Community for your auto financing needs.
Pain is never planned, and recovery time is never convenient. But the last thing you want to do is wait for answers. At Angelo MRI, you are more than a number. We can get you results within 24 hours at a price you can afford. So when you need to get back into the game fast, tell your doctor you want to go to Angelo MRI. We hope you don't need us this season. But in case you do, remember, it's your health, your choice, your MRI.
At Schertz Landscape, we care about the quality of trees that you put in your landscape. Therefore, we grow our trees here locally in the Concho Valley. As a certified arborist, I not only care about the quality of your tree being planted, but I am also qualified as a tree risk assessor. I can evaluate the health of an older tree or the risk that it may have to you and your property. Come see us at Schertz Landscape, where we care about the quality of your trees.
Hey, that was a Schertz Landscape Company commercial. You know who's been sponsoring kickoffs on our broadcast forever? Schertz Landscape Company.
How about that?
It's a Friday night tradition. I can't even say kickoff without saying Schertz Landscape
I know.
Company.
I drive right by it on the way to the stadium.
There
every
you go.
day. Yeah, from our home, we come right down Knickerbocker. There's Schertz right there on the left and turn into the stadium.
You know another one. Another one I can't get out of my head, Darren, is whenever Luke Cage, your sponsor, of course, of the Bobcat Insider, for the Luke Cage first down.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It's a Luke
I
Cage
say
first down.
It's a
Get
Luke
it?
first
Cage.
down.
What I say is that's a Luke Cage fighting Central Bobcat first down.
There you go.
Yeah.
Man,
Sure, Brian appreciates that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brian's
Yeah.
been great to us. And Luke's Cage,
Same.
you needed a quick turnaround, need that gear for your favorite team, your school. They'll get it done for you.
Fantastic. Well, let's dive right into the season as a whole. Obviously, we already kind of covered Southern Carol's. We're not going to worry about that part. But let's worry about just the regular season.
Sure.
Obviously, quick rundown for the fans at home. Opened technically. Now it's not on paper no more, but technically 2 losses against Abilene High and Amarillo. Obviously, you got that one back due to some
I
circumstances.
don't remember the loss. I don't remember that.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And then, of course, right off some wins, a couple losses, and then right off more wins before Southern Carol. So one of the things that I like to really think about, what is some of your main takeaways from this season? Maybe what's something you learned about the program, yourself, some of the players, maybe Micah. What is kind of like some of your main takeaways from this season?
Looking for continuous improvement. I think that you really break the season down into 3 parts. You've got your preseason games, your district games, and then your postseason games. And are you playing your best football at the end of the year? I think the best teams in the state are doing that. So, and it's hard to continually see improvement week in and week out. So from where we started to where we finished, I thought we did. We were playing our best football at the end of the year. Super happy and excited that we were able to get the top seed in Division II there with a great, kind of dominant win over Friendship in the last game of district play there, which kind of catapulted us into the playoffs. So I think that you look for, is your team improving, and then if your team is improving, then is there mental stability where it needs to be to play an entire long season. And I say that because when you've been in a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a while, some teams get weary at the end of the year. And then, but do you have the team with the right mindset that's going to go and attack practice every day? And we did. I mean, I thought it was tremendous. I wish we were practicing still today and this week, and the energy would have been out of the roof. Yeah, but that's really what I look for: continual improvement throughout the course of the year. A check. I think we saw that with this team. The way that they handled their business. Did we kind of evolve with what we were doing offensively and defensively? Check. You may come into the season with a certain plan about kind of how you're going to attack things, but then you have to be flexible enough to see, okay, man, what is our personnel doing? And then I always think about it in terms of players. First, get the best players involved with what you're doing. And then I saw let's talk offensively, now. I love it that we weren't a one-trick pony. I like the fact that, over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, we ran the ball for over 200 yards a game. Really good, strong running game in there. But also, I go back to Midland Lee. We threw for 400 yards in that game. That was a team that played a defensive structure where they're in man free and they want to pressure you a lot of times. So let's go throw the ball. You play teams that want to drop 8 and just have 3 D linemen in there. We run for over 200 yards. So I love the fact that, we were able to fit those pieces together right there, depending on who we were playing each week. Love that. Saw our defense evolve from the first game all the way to the last. We had a couple of games in there, didn't play very strong defense, and then we just completely just shut people down and locked some people out, as the season went on. So continual improvement, evolving with what your team can do, very happy with how the season went.
And Coach, I know that one game doesn't make a season. We all know that. But Abilene Cooper.
Yes.
We're behind. It's the third quarter. That game could have taken the wind out of our sails a bit. And again, I know one game doesn't make the season, but we were on the brink of, it wouldn't have been good as far as morale for fans.
Sure.
And you guys said, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to win this game. And you turned it around. Next thing you know, you're on a 3-game winning streak.
Sure.
But whenever they were tested and really needed to keep this thing going, they got that win and got on the winning streak. And, hey, things were down 2 tough losses in district, 2 very close losses to 2 rivals.
Sure.
And we come back and made that situation better, too. So their resiliency is great, and it kept the fans into it. And I think toward the end of the year, this is the most spirit I've seen around Central in a very long time.
I couldn't agree more. I think that I look back at we had 2 night pep rallies here, from each of the playoff games, and just the excitement that was in the gym those nights and the community involved and everything that's around there. You really saw the school spirit come alive, in a way that, only football can do. You've seen this before and you've been around teams, and when the football team is doing good, the whole school is doing good. It just provides an extra layer of that just school spirit and camaraderie amongst everyone on campus. So it does. It feels different when things are going that way, and it was. That Abilene Cooper game could have gone either way, and then you see it go our way, and then we go have a dominant win in Belton and a dominant win Waco, and that kind of positions us for a great, district run there and a couple of tight games early. And then that critical game against Midland High, we come in and then we get ready and it's rained out. We got to come back the next day against a very explosive, triple option offense, and then here we go. We shut it down really well. Offense played well during the game and just kind of took control of that game in the second half, and then we were down in that game as well.
Yeah.
And then we come right back and just gain game control early in the second half and never let it back. and then marched on forward and thugged out a win over Odessa High.
That was a thug-out win.
Yeah, which you see every year teams have to do, and we did, but we found a way to win that game as well, and then just a complete, dominating win over Friendship to close out district, and then the momentum that carried, 45 straight points in that game, and just a punishing style of victory over the team that won the district championship in our league the year before. A tremendous win, for us, and to get us in that top seed in Division II, that was important, and then that positioned us well in the playoffs, and then a great playoff victory there in Ratliff, and that's more great memories that we had there on the sideline of that game after it was over against a really good team from Pebble Hills as well, and then boom, right into the Dragons here, #1 team in the state. Just kind of a storybook, season right there. Really just grateful, for the guys and their contribution and what Team 107 did in the legacy of San Angelo Central football.
You bet. This is a great start to something that will continue to improve.
Yeah, I'm already excited about it. It is. It's just the beginning, Mike, right over here, got another season, got a senior year coming up. And, man, what I love about guys like that is that played football on Friday night, and he was in a basketball game on Monday,
Yeah, I saw that they
he's 2-0
beat
now.
the Panthers pretty good.
Yeah, we beat Fort Stockton on Monday, and then we beat Abilene High today.
There you go.
So he's got 2 basketball games under his belt already,
right.
and then here we go, and it's just kind of right into it. And just love the competitiveness of our guys. Mike and Baby G on the varsity team there, 2 of our football guys that transition right over. You can tell who they are. They still got the blonde hair right there running around on the basketball court now. But, yeah, just grateful. Really grateful for these guys. I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss seeing them every day. It's kind of weird when you get knocked out of the playoffs and you go into a week where there's no school. There's no school this week, so it's not like you saw them on Monday.
Yeah.
And then here they are. So there's kind of been this week of separation, and then we'll see them again, on next Monday when everybody's back together again and have a great week and kind of put a bow on this season. Yep.
I'll tell you, one of the being a sportscaster is not in the same league of toughness as coach, but when you cover multiple games and you get to see somebody play their last game they probably will ever play,
sure,
week after week, it starts to get to you a little bit.
Yeah.
Just, because I'm a sentimental person, obviously.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I felt the same with Lakeview, with that first playoff match, knowing that some of their weapons, some of their top guys, that was definitely tough. So I definitely share the sentiment for sure.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the future.
Yep.
You have some good guys coming back.
We do.
I'm not sure of the numbers. If you know them, fine. I'm not going to say, but we have some good talent coming back. What about the JV, the underclassmen? How did they do this
season? JV finished 7-3 this season, and what I love about that is, in my opinion, it really shows the development in the program. When I pulled it up for them and I showed them about week 8 during the year, I wrote their schedule down in 2024 and I wrote it down in 2025. When they were the freshman A team in 2024, they went 2-8, okay, and got drugged in a lot of games. Fast forward, same team, same guys, playing the same people. JV A team now in 2025 totally flipped the script from 2-8 to 7-3. They went into the last district game with a chance to win the district championship. We lost to Friendship 13-12 in kind of a weird game right there in that game. But we beat Midland Legacy. We beat Permian. We played Legacy twice in there.
Oh,
we
really?
played them the week that we played Waco High as well. So we played them back-to-back weeks. So and then the scores, the games that we lost were much closer than they were a year ago. So I saw tremendous improvement, with those guys from 2024 to 2025. So the future's bright. We got a lot of guys coming back off of this team. We got linemen, we got skill guys, we got quarterback, we got everybody, to kind of build a nucleus around for this team. But it'll have its own look and its own shape and its own form. We tear it down to the studs like we do each team every week. And so, Team 108 will look different than Team 107. So as we go through spring football this spring, already looking ahead, the weeks that we do skills and drills prior to spring football, we have all the players work both sides of the ball. So there might have been a player that was primary offense last year or primary defense that you see on the other side of the ball this year. So we put together the right formula, get the puzzle just the way we want it, for Team 108. So already excited about that.
Man, and it'll seem like no time at all. We'll be back here with another season. I know you wish you could have practice tomorrow.
I do.
When do you guys actually start in the spring?
So spring football won't start until sometime in mid to late April. I try to push it as far back into into the end of baseball season as possible. So we got a lot of guys that play baseball as well. So I want those guys to participate in as much of spring football as we can. So we push that back kind of based on the baseball calendar there and look at it in terms of that. So we got a big chunk of what we do right here in what I call winter conditioning, which is kind of really the heart and soul of getting this next group ready to go. And we do that with our freshmen and our JV and varsity guys. And then we move from, that winter conditioning phase into a football skills and drills phase, which that leads us into spring football and into summer training, and then into fall camp, and here we go.
You've got it all planned out already,
yep,
right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's on a calendar. Just kind of you wake up, what day of the month is it, what month is it, and you already kind of know where you are in the life of your program.
Speaking more on Team 108, obviously we know some of the obvious faces, but walk us through how many starters are you anticipating to return to Team 108 from Team 107?
That's a good question. I haven't really gone and looked at it, exactly what that might be. I know you look at running back, we returned both Darius and Zay back there, Micah back at quarterback, wide receiver. You got Gavin Johnson, who started for us this year, Jesse Smith, who played a ton, as well for us in that role there. And you look at the linemen, you got Ethan Boyd is back in there. Parker Havercroft, played center, is back as well there. You got Jose Ibarra, who started a handful of games for us as well on the offensive line, is back. I think the rest of those were seniors. You're losing both of those two tight ends from your roster there. So
that's a hot ticket for the underclassmen. Like, hey, I want to be one of those tight ends.
Yeah, it may be, or you may turn into more of a 20 personnel team, which is you're playing more split backs, and there with that. So you find the right formula, see what works.
So if you're not in love with certain formations,
I don't think you can. I think any day now in terms of football, you can't put a square peg into a round hole.
Right.
You have to adapt and evolve your system with the people that you have, and that's why I love the creativity that we have offensively, and I love the direction that we're going offensively. I've never wanted to hire a coordinator who is a system guy. This is the system that I run, and no matter what players that we have here, this is my system. I think you have to be able to adapt and evolve, from week to week, and certainly from year to year with the strengths of your team. So I think there's a lot of things you can do, with a two-back system that's very similar to a one-back, one tight end system there. The 12 personnel looks, maybe we got some tight ends that'll come up and develop. We had some good ones on the JV. We got some guys already in my mind that run a varsity that may make a position move to go into that role. So we just find the best formula and make that work. So I think we got a handful of starters back offensively. I know we do defensively as well. And then we just find the right mix, with these guys to make sure that Team 108 is positioned as best it possibly can be.
So another one now, of course, we've been focusing more on just the interior of the program. Let's look at something on the outside, and that's just simply the Little Southwest Conference. The district as a whole. As we were kind of learning with realignment, we're anticipating friendship to be dropping.
They will
out
drop.
of 6A. So what do you think, from your perspective, is going to happen with the Little Southwest Conference? Do you see any additions, any other realignment, or do you think the UAO is going to allow a 5-team conference?
That is the million-dollar question about what I've asked our athletic director, Rodney Chant, multiple times. What do you hear and what do you think? And it's like,
what's the word on the street?
It is like Fort Knox with how these secrets are kept within the UIL. But we'll know, that first Tuesday in February is realignment day, and then it'll be released as to where everybody's going. We do know now that they do the snapshot day, everybody has to turn in, and that's a date in October where everybody turns in their enrollment. So, and then the UIL will release the cutoffs for, 6A, 5A, 4A, and so on. So then from your snapshot number, and you see the cutoffs, so you know exactly, all right, well, we're going to be 6A, we're going to be 5A, whatever it may be. So we certainly anticipate friendship will be down. Their number was turned in well below, what was 5A in last realignment. So I don't anticipate that being an issue. Do they keep it just, with a 5-team district? You got Midland, Odessa, and San Angelo. Do they do that? Does Del Rio move in with us as another 6A team out here? Do you get shipped back to the Metroplex with some of those people like it was several realignments ago? I think that it's just so many different options as to what may happen. I'm I'm building my schedule already for next year. And do you need 5 non-district games? Do you need 6?
Yeah, you might need that.
Do you only
extra.
need 2? And it's just
Could be like Lakeview, you only have 3.
I know.
Do you have any teams on your wish list you'd like to play pre-district?
Well, I've got it worked out. So week 1, we're going to open with Abilene High again. I think that's been a great, start to the season. I think they always have a quality team, and I think it's a good opponent. We're going to do that. Week 2, I've still got open as of right now. I don't have an opponent in for week 2. We're not going to play Amarillo High again. That one is, I don't like traveling very far.
Yeah.
Okay, to be honest with you.
Man.
Yeah.
And y'all went to Waco? Come on, Belton to Waco back 2 weeks ago?
I know. So Waco's out. Waco's out, and Belton is out. Also, those 2 are out. Waco was really out of necessity. I got hired just the day before realignment, 2 years ago. So that one was just kind of out of necessity. We found each other, and I don't mind playing Waco. I don't know that that's necessarily too far of a drive, but I'm not going to play them, but they wouldn't play sub-varsity games. They have a rule within their ISD that if it's a certain amount of miles, then you got to find somebody else for freshmen and for JV. So we played varsity only. That's why we played Midland Legacy, a second time. That was the week we played Legacy again with our freshmen and our JV. They were playing a team out of Shreveport, Louisiana. So they needed sub-varsity games the same week. So I like to play people that have 5 teams and can play everybody. So Belton is out, Waco's out. We picked up so that we're still playing Abilene Cooper week 3, Abilene High week 1, Abilene Cooper week 3. Week 4, we're going to play El Paso Montwood. And that's going to be a neutral site game. I believe we're going to play them in Andrews, Texas on week 4.
Oh, cool. The Mustang Bowl at Andrews.
The Mustang Bowl, looks nice exactly the same. Yeah, except they don't have the end zone yet, one end zone done. But that'll be a week 4 game there. And got penciled in for week 5, the new school in Friendship, Memorial High School. I believe that's what it's called. In Friendship there. So that they're penciled in right now. They could go in a league that has, 7 or 8 teams, and they don't need, that 5th game of non-district games. So anyways, it's all up in the air right now.
Yeah,
anything I just mentioned could also be scratched at any moment.
You're going to have to scratch that calendar off and put a different name in there and scratch it off.
Everything is in pencil right now.
I would anticipate, and of course, this is me guessing. Yeah. Obviously, this year you went to Abilene High and you hosted Cooper. Are those going to be flips? You're bringing them back to the schedule?
Probably so. It would probably be flipped in that scenario there. A lot of it depends on who they find in their other non-district games as well. It may be something where Cooper may find an opponent, that first game has to play on the road or something like that, and then Abilene High may need to play at home. So it may be a situation like that, and then you flip it, and you go back to a 2-year cycle where you're away and then home. It just kind of depends. You got to let everybody let it all settle out and then see what needs to happen.
All right, fair enough. Something else, since we're on the topic of schedules, would you anticipate? Now, I'm not anticipate them to drop. So would you try to hit up Friendship again? Maybe try to.
I asked him.
Bring him back?
Jay only wanted to play 5A teams. He did not. I did talk to him about that, and I respect that. He only wanted to play 5A teams. I talked to him about possibly scrimmaging. The 2 of us. I'm looking for a scrimmage as well. And so that's still kind of a question. We may do that. He was happy with who his scrimmage opponent was at this point, but he was open to discussing it a little bit further. But I did ask Jay, hey, what do you think about playing a game next year? And he did. Nope. He just wants to play. He wants to play 5A schools.
Got to respect it. Got to respect it.
I get that. Yeah.
We can bring the low-key rivalry back down the road.
I would love to play all 6A schools. There's just not enough of them out here. Yeah. You really have no choice but to find a few of the bigger 5A teams to play. But I certainly understand that.
Not all of them are big rivals. I consider them all to be rivalries. I like playing the teams that are in your general area, so you can have the bragging rights at the end of the year if you beat them all. That includes the Abilene schools, the Odessa schools. I like having all of them because those are all rivalries. Those are bragging rights rivalries.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's one of the. I've reached out to Abilene Wiley, and we're talking about maybe that week 2 game might work out. And then play the 3 schools in Abilene. That's who all of our junior highs play. Here in San Angelo between Lincoln that feeds Lakeview and also Lincoln that feeds Lakeview plays in the Lakeview schedule only. They play exactly what their high school schedule does, but our 2 with Glenn and Lone Star, they play the Abilene schools in a junior high league there. So I kind of thought, man, that just makes sense let's try to add that Wiley school, which had been on the schedule 2 realignments ago, playing Abilene Wiley, so maybe bringing that one back as well.
Hey, let's bring back homecoming 2022 when we scored on the Hail Mary. Yeah, have them play us here. Bad memories for them because they were celebrating already. Yep. Man, speaking of memories, so I don't have to cover it later. Montwood.
Yep.
We played them here several years ago, and we kicked a field goal with like 30 seconds left and beat them. And I think we beat them on the road the next year. But anyway, that was another thriller that we've had against Montwood. So these are good teams to play. Looking forward to it.
Yep.
Chad, I know you're itching to ask something else. Anything else?
I think I'm really heavily focused around the feast week and everything going on. I'm a big Longhorn fan, so I'm watching SEC volleyball over there.
I'm looking forward to sawing them off Friday.
No, we're not going to worry about that one.
There are plenty of screens around here at
Oh,
Shenanigans.
I know. There's plenty to worry about here.
I see on your screen right here. Good luck to Odessa Permian. They're still alive in our district.
Absolutely, man.
Allen Eagles.
What do you know what? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about the matchup with Permian and Allen?
Man, I think it's a good matchup. I think Permian, physically can match up with anybody in the state. They're really, really big. They got some really big guys there, and that's been my experience with them. They just have some really big guys. They can control the ball. They got a good back. And I think if you can run the football, especially, at this point in the year, you're always going to have a chance. Allen, is as advertised, got a really good team. Again, Lee Wigginton does a great job there at Allen. Another school played Allen twice. They've been on my schedule twice, and 2-0 against the Allen Eagles. Yeah, they're in some really big games against those guys, and so I think that's going to be a great matchup. When you get down to the last 16 teams, they're all going to be that way. Those are two, great names, storied programs in high school football here in Texas.
It's absolutely insane.
And they're representing the district well. They haven't lost since week 1 against Plano.
Yep.
Big a rivalry as they are, we really want to root for them because, people say, well, we can't compete with the Metroplex schools and all that. A win against Allen would be huge for the district.
It'd be great. Yeah, it'd be really good, and kind of, it does. It kind of sends a message to everybody that, man, it's good football here in District 2-6A.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Bring the little Southwest. We're all going to bring the little Southwest Conference back to glory.
That's right.
Step one.
That's exactly right.
Well, Coach, I mentioned all the seniors on the broadcast. Just went down and named them all, and they've given us some real thrills on Friday nights. They've represented the town, the team, the program, as have you. Micah, we appreciate you too. I'm glad we're going to have him back. But it's been fun.
Me too.
It's been fun, and we hope that you'll invite us out to the spring game.
Oh, yeah, always welcome. And, we had a lot of those seniors right on this stage with us throughout the course of the season, and it was really fun, being able to showcase those guys. And, not only are they great football players, what I love about it is they're great people. I think that at the end of the day, whenever, you put your whistle down and your coaching is done, man, and you don't really remember necessarily how many games that you won and all that. You got all those memories in the locker room with the guys, or you're reading a bedtime story too, like I do during training camp to the guys, or some of those quirky things. And I hope and pray, that they not only leave San Angelo Central, but go on to college and have a lasting legacy in their lives, as husbands, as fathers, as business people around the community. And they take lessons from what old Coach Smith told them back in the day right there. Remember, he always told us to thug it out. Well, it's time to do that right now in life. But I think that's what it's about. You want to make a great impression, and, you want each person that comes through your program, to walk out the doors and think, man, I am better because I was in this program over the course of these 4 years. And that's my wish every year when seniors, exit the buildings, that, man, they had a great experience and they're better for being in the program.
Because 20, 30 years from now, they may think of something you said.
Oh, they do. I do with my high school coach. I know. Yeah, that happens, and so that's the truth, and we all do. You have those memories. And
100%.
You take them with you, and then you share some of those experiences with your children, and and the legacy keeps going.
And we're going to see you at basketball games, of course.
And we're coming back up in here. I know we got
our
our once a month show coming up starting in January, where we feature some of the other sports throughout the course of San Angelo Central, and I love that. There's so many great people and great coaches, and our programs, and it's great during the spring to be able to recognize them and go on. And then we'll finish up with our big spring showcase show. Yeah, of course, and you'll be out for the spring game as well.
We'll all be seeing each other. Yep. We'll be in each other's orbit, and we look forward to our monthly shows. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, it will be.
Been a blast this season. We appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bobcats, baby. Bobcat Insider. That's our final football show, but we're going to be back, okay? And thank you all for joining us. Thanks to Shenanigans, Brian, and the gang at Luke's Cage. We appreciate you guys. For Chad, for Coach Smith, I'm Darren Prater. For Concho Sports, Bobcat Insider. Good night, everybody.
All right.